Next up, we have the Sauder School of Business from British Columbia, who will be talking to us about Goldman Sachs. If you just remind us who we are as your audience.
Lovely. So yesterday we would like to thank you again for inviting us back, essentially. But what we did is we came in and we were on the consulting team, ethical analysts of conveniently named Ethan Consulting Group, and we came in to essentially talk about the problems with Goldman Sachs before and after the financial crisis, where one of their own internal people essentially withheld information that allowed all these complex transactions to become more of growing debt that couldn't be repaid. And it was essentially a lot of the people in the industry that contributed to this. So we were here to talk about what they could have done in terms of more legal barriers and moving beyond that, also internally within the company, and a lot more focus on the people.
Okay. And just a second. Welcome, when you're ready to begin.
All right. Good morning. Thank you for having us back here today, and we would like to thank you for having us back here today. We'd really like to thank you for essentially inviting us back to talk about the ethical dimensions of the Goldman Sachs issue. What happened, and as per our last meeting, essentially we discussed the issues going on with the company of not putting the clients first. We found that the central core of these problems was that we were maintaining a sense of self-interest within the company, and we analyzed it to be that the company was moving forward to grow profits, to essentially go after the things that were making them profit-driven, but not go after the clients that made them the heart of the company. It is our investors that allow us to grow, and we really want to put them first. But we believe that within our own company, and within you guys' company, one thing we should really implement is the importance of focus on your employees. Because if we want to create an ethical culture, it really starts internally. And you can't emphasize ethics, because even if reputation means that people from the outside are looking in, you can't show them what it means to be truly ethical without having those precedents set into place in the beginning. Now, as for our discussion yesterday, even though since the 2008 financial crisis, there's been legal obligations that Obama put into place, such as the Dodd-Frank Act, that says you now have to abide by these ethical guidelines, there's been certain things that are missing. Now that even if we put in those internal guidelines, what we need to do is we need to empower people to live up to their potential. That starts at the bottom. That starts at your junior analysts, and that goes all the way up to the managing directors. So we want a circular feedback session, and one thing we want to bring to your attention as well is the story of Greg Smith. Greg Smith resigned publicly on November of 2012, and what he said in his speech, regardless of how we feel about him and his actions, he essentially brought forth the idea that we need to essentially have more confidence in our work. We need to have more empowered employees, and we need to be proud of what we do. He said his proudest moments in his life was when he got a scholarship to Stanford to move out of South Africa. And the reason he felt proud of that was because he didn't take shortcuts. That is something that he felt we were putting at compromise at Goldman Sachs. Next, to move on, he essentially said that a lot of the senior analysts were hearing a lot of the junior analysts saying that, how much money did we make off of this client? We need to change this dialogue. We suggested to change this dialogue, we focus more on the importance of what it means to be ethically inclined and go after asking questions like, did we serve the consumer? And did the clients essentially get what they expected from this? Lastly, what we want to bring forth is situations like Mr. Smith himself. Do we want this to be replicated? We certainly do not. We would prefer if our employees come to us and talk to us as such as you guys. So we want to have a consulting board that allows you to put into place an ombudsperson or a necessary third party that acts independently of the firm and creates non-binding or binding actions and allows you to go forward with acting between the clientele. If they have an issue, it brings up. If the internal employees within the company have issues, they bring it forward to us, and we can prevent it from moving forward to the media and putting your public relations at stake.
Here at Goldman Sachs, we have many issues. These issues are present because of your actions and attitudes. There is a huge power separation amongst the junior analysts and the managing directors, to such an extent where the junior analysts don't even feel comfortable going to their own bosses to ask questions and just to get overall clarification on their duties. And the reason why this is present in the first place is because these managing directors are misusing their authority in a sense where they feel like it's okay for them to just dump work on these junior analysts without them being okay with it. They feel like the junior analysts themselves think they're like an end to a means to an end, where they're not necessarily viewed as being an essential part of the company. They're essentially meant to do menial tasks in their profession, which is not misusing their talents, but it's just exploiting their overall potential in general. Next, the firm itself has an overall attitude of being self-interested and just overall having a lot of overconfidence in their decision making. Now, self-interest is demonstrated by having a sense of selective disclosure to their clients, where you tell your clients some information, but not the rest. You think it's okay for you to be like, security A is just a little bit more riskier than security B, but not telling them exact facts that indeed it's 10% more riskier, which is actually a huge difference by just telling them it's a slightly bit riskier, because 10% makes a huge difference in the overall profits. Now, when you don't tell your clients these detailed information, the clients feel like you're not telling them the exact story, which eventually makes them feel like they can't trust you in the end. Also, overconfidence is an issue because your experts think they can almost predict the entire market forecast, which is demonstrated in the financial crisis, where you thought it was okay to bet against toxic securities, but you thought it was going to yield profit for the firm, which in fact resulted in a huge loss. Not only did you lose profit, but you lost your investors, you lost your clients. And lastly, there is an attitude of hypocrisy in the firm where you do have a well-defined value statement and a mission statement indicating that we value honesty, integrity, and teamwork. But according to past events, this hasn't been the case, because during the financial crisis, there was no honesty, you did not act in integrity, and there wasn't much teamwork within the hierarchical structure in the firm. So we see that there is a bunch of issues in this firm, but we are here to solve it. We have solutions to your problems.
To ensure that all the company's employees have the same set of guidelines about their ethical standards of behavior in the company, we propose for the company to come up with an ethical code of conduct, which will basically a set of guidelines of what they're supposed to be behaving like in the company. And we're proposing for the company, for all the employees in the company, to sign this code of conduct. So with the zero tolerance policy, all employees will be obliged to follow the code of conduct. And this will make sure that what the company says and what the company does is basically the same thing. Also, there is some stigma in the company that employees are sometimes used as a means to an end, and their talent is not used to its full potential. What we want to make sure is that with the implementation of mentorship and mentorship program within the Goldman Sachs, we will propose encouragement and empowerment of employees through leadership and allowing the guidance. We want to propose the mentorship program between junior analysts and VPs, so they'll be able to encourage and guide them through their career choice in Goldman Sachs. And this will make sure that not only employees will feel more in control of what they're doing, they feel fulfilled by their actions. And this will really contribute to an ethical corporate culture in the company, because now they will be responsible for their actions. To further motivate our management directors in the company to act ethically and to showcase leadership skills in their day-to-day actions, we're proposing to compensate and to promote them in their careers through bonuses as well as promotion. And we're trying to measure their ethics and leadership abilities through surveys from their teammates as well as subordinates and superiors. So we're going to get a well-rounded picture of how this particular individual acts on behalf of the company. And this will greatly contribute to building a stronger ethical corporate culture in the company, which will reduce turnover, and it will save companies money on labor costs as well. Also, if there is a case of a conflict happening within the company which cannot be resolved between two separate individuals, we propose to create a position of an ambassador, which will basically be a third-party person who will be dealing with internally with conflicts within the company. Therefore, there will be no splashes in the mass public about the company, and the reputation of the company would not be damaged. We want to be able to solve all the conflicts within the company and make sure that our employees are happy to be working with us. And finally, effective risk management is essential for a company like Goldman Sachs. However, since Goldman Sachs deals with lots of money and people on a day-to-day basis, there are a lot of ethical concerns involved with it. So we want to make sure that the company is able to predict ethical problems in advance and measure and manage its risks effectively, taking into account the ethics consideration as well. And this will not only have a positive impact on company's public image, as well as allow us to gain the client trust, it will also save us a considerable amount of money on all the lawsuits. Having said that, to summarize everything, after implementing the internal changes in the company, we'll be able to empower our employees to act ethically on behalf of the organization, to nurture this culture of leadership, which will really help to nurture the ethical corporate culture in the company, which will have a positive bottom line effect on the client relationship management, as well as on the cost of the company. Thank you so much for having us here.
Down to 5 seconds down there. Very good. Thank you.